If your Suzuki Swift's fan is suddenly loud, the airflow feels weak even on max, the windows fog up faster than they used to, or the cabin has that dusty, sour smell that shows up the moment you turn the HVAC on, there's a good chance you're chasing the right problem but for the wrong reason. Because a cabin filter can be clogged enough to choke the system, sure. But here's the twist, people do a quick swap, feel proud for 10 minutes, and then the airflow is somehow worse, or there's a new rattle, or the smell comes right back. That's why cabin air filter replacement in Suzuki Swift is one of those easy jobs that punishes rushing. The goal isn't just to put a new filter in. The goal is to restore clean, unrestricted airflow without breaking glovebox parts, without dumping a year of leaves into the blower, and without installing the filter backwards so it acts like a flap. If you do it cleanly and correctly, it's one of the highest payoff maintenance tasks on the car. If you do it carelessly, you can create problems that weren't there before. Before touching anything, do a quick reality check so you don't blame the cabin filter for something it can't fix. Turn the car on, set the fan to maximum, and switch between fresh air and recirculation. If the airflow is weak in both modes, and the fan sounds like it's working hard, a clogged filter is a prime suspect. If airflow is strong on recirculation but weak on fresh air, the issue might be at the outside intake area, like debris near the cowl, rather than the filter itself. If the fan speed changes but the airflow barely changes, that can still be a filter, but it can also be a blockage downstream or a blower issue. And if you're getting a musty smell that's strongest right after you start the AC, a new filter helps, but it may not be the whole story because that smell often lives on the evaporator surface, not in the filter. Now, what you'll need. In many Suzuki Swifts, you can do this with no tools at all. Sometimes a small flashlight helps. If your glove box has a damper arm on one side, you might need to gently unclip it by hand. The biggest tool is patience, because the plastic stops and clips are easy to force and easy to regret. Next is the part that saves you from buying the wrong filter. Don't trust a generic listing that says, "Fit Swift," and call it a day. Swifts vary by year and market, and some trims even come with a slot for a cabin filter but no filter installed from the factory. That means you might open it up and find either a filter, or an empty tray, or a blanking plate. The safest way to confirm fitment is to pull the old filter first and match it by size and shape. If there is no old filter, you'll want to measure the opening or use your VIN in a reputable parts catalog. When you're holding the correct filter, it should slide in without bending the frame. If you have to crush it to make it fit, it's not tight tolerance, it's the wrong part. You'll also see two common filter types, standard particulate filters and activated carbon filters. Carbon can help with traffic fumes and some odors, but it can be slightly more restrictive than a basic filter, especially if the filter media is dense. If your priority is maximum airflow, a quality standard filter is often the best balance. If your priority is reducing smells from outside, carbon can be worth it. Either way, the filter has to be installed in the correct direction, and that's where a lot of people accidentally sabotage themselves. Let's talk about direction, because it's the number one reason a new filter makes airflow worse. Cabin filters usually have an arrow labeled airflow. That arrow is not decoration. The filter media is often layered, and the support structure is designed to resist collapse in one direction. Put it in backwards and the filter can bow, whistle, or partially block the passage. Even if it doesn't collapse, the airflow can become noisier and less efficient. So you're going to pay attention to that arrow like it's a map. Now to the actual access. Cabin air filter replacement in Suzuki Swift is typically done through the passenger side, behind the glove box. Sit in the passenger seat, open the glove box, and empty it first. Not because you need the space, but because once the glove box drops down, everything inside wants to fall out at the worst moment. Look at the sides of the glove box. Most designs use built-in stops that prevent it from dropping all the way down. To get past those stops, you usually press the glove box sides inward so the stops clear the dash opening, and then the glove box can swing down further. Do this gently and evenly. If you yank one side hard, you can stress the hinge or twist the box. If your Swift has a small damper arm on one side, it's there to slow the glove box as it opens. Don't force the glove box down against that damper. Find where the damper clips on and carefully unhook it. It's usually a simple clip or pin connection, but it's easy to snap if you treat it like a stubborn lid. Once the glove box is lowered, you're looking for a rectangular filter housing. It's often a slim door or cover with tabs. This is where people break things by using a screwdriver as a pry bar. You usually don't need to pry. You press the tabs, the cover releases, and it slides or pops off. If it feels stuck, check that you're pressing the correct tabs and that you're not pulling at an angle that jams it. Before you pull the old filter out, take a second to plan how you'll keep debris from falling into the housing. A clogged cabin filter often holds leaves, grit, and fine dust. If you yank it out quickly, that debris drops straight into the blower area. Then you start the fan later and hear a ticking, or a scraping, or a little helicopter noise that wasn't there before. That's not normal, that's a leaf in the blower cage. So pull the filter out slowly, keeping it level. If the filter is really loaded with debris, you can slide it out partway, pause, and gently tap or pinch the edges to keep the mess contained. Have a small trash bag ready. And as soon as it's out, look at it. The pattern tells you a lot. If one corner is packed with leaves, you may have debris entering from the intake area. If the entire surface is uniformly gray and dusty, it's just time. If it's damp or has signs of moldy spots, that points to moisture issues, and while a new filter helps, you'll want to keep an eye on recurring smells. Now, don't skip the housing. This is the quiet step that prevents the "I replaced it and now it rattles" problem. Use a flashlight and look inside the filter slot. If you see loose leaves or clumps of dust, remove them carefully. You can use your fingers if you can reach, or a vacuum hose if you can do it without pushing debris deeper. The point is simple, the new filter should go into a clean slot, and the blower should not become a leaf shredder. Also check the filter cover and the sealing edges. If the cover doesn't seat properly later, air will bypass the filter. That means dust goes straight onto the evaporator and into the ducts, and you'll be back to smells and fogging sooner than you expect. A cabin filter only works if the air is forced through it, not around it. Now take your new filter and find the airflow arrow. If you're unsure which way the air moves, think of the system like this: air is drawn in from outside or recirculated from the cabin, then it passes through the cabin filter, then it goes through the blower fan, then it's pushed through the heater core or evaporator and into the vents. In many cars, the filter sits upstream of the blower. So the arrow usually points toward the blower motor, deeper into the HVAC box. But don't guess if you don't have to. Sometimes the filter housing itself has a small arrow or up marking. Match the filter arrow to the housing marking. Slide the filter in gently. It should go in straight, without folding. If it catches, pull it back out and check alignment. A common mistake is to push one side in first, which bends the frame and makes it feel like it fits, but it's actually buckled. A buckled filter reduces surface area and can restrict airflow more than the old one did. Another mistake is installing a filter that's slightly too tall and forcing the cover closed. That can warp the cover, break the tabs, or leave a gap that causes bypass air and rattles. Once the filter is fully seated, reinstall the cover. You should feel it click into place. Don't accept kind of on. If one tab didn't engage, the cover can vibrate and buzz when the fan is on. If you hear a new buzz after the job, the first suspect is the filter door not fully latched. Then bring the glove box back up. If you disconnected a damper arm, reconnect it the same way it came off. Swing the glove box up and gently press the sides inward again so the stops pass back into position. Don't slam it. If it doesn't want to close, something is misaligned, and forcing it is how hinges crack. Now the test, and this is where you confirm you actually improved the car. Start the car, set the fan to medium first, then to max. Listen. A healthy system with a new filter usually sounds smoother, not strained. Feel the airflow at the vents. You're not looking for a miracle hurricane, but you should notice a clearer, freer flow compared to a clogged filter. Switch between fresh and recirculation again. If airflow is now strong on both, you've likely nailed it. If airflow is still weak, don't assume the new filter is defective. First, recheck the basics: is the filter installed in the correct direction? Is it seated fully? Is the cover sealed? A backwards filter or a buckled filter can absolutely make airflow worse, and it happens more often than people admit because the job feels too simple to double-check. If everything is installed correctly and airflow is still poor, the cabin filter may not have been the main restriction. The next common culprit is debris in the blower fan itself, especially if you heard ticking or scraping. Another possibility is a blocked intake path on fresh air mode. And if the smell is the main complaint, understand what a cabin filter can and can't do. It can reduce incoming dust, pollen, and some odors. It cannot clean an evaporator that already has microbial growth on it. Sometimes the smell improves a little immediately because you removed a dirty filter, but the deeper musty odor returns because the source is still there. That's not a failed filter replacement, it's a different problem. There's also an edge case that confuses a lot of Swift owners. You open the housing and there's no filter at all. Just an empty slot or a placeholder. That can happen. If the slot exists, you can usually install the correct filter, but you must make sure you're not missing a necessary frame or cover piece. If the cover is missing or damaged, air will bypass and the filter won't do much. In that situation, it's better to restore the housing to a proper sealed setup than to wedge a filter in and hope. One more nuance that matters: choosing a filter that's too high performance can backfire. Some very dense filters, especially cheap carbon filters with heavy media, can reduce airflow noticeably even when new. If you replace the dirty standard filter with a brand new but overly restrictive carbon filter, you might feel less airflow and think you installed it wrong. You might not have. You might just be feeling the trade-off. If airflow is your priority, pick a reputable filter that balances filtration and flow, and avoid anything that feels like a brick in your hand. So why does this simple job sometimes go wrong? Because the cabin filter is not just a piece of paper you swap. It's part of an airflow system that depends on direction, sealing, and a clean housing. A backwards arrow, a bent frame, a cover that isn't latched, or a handful of leaves dropped into the blower can turn a maintenance win into a new annoyance. If you do it carefully, cabin air filter replacement in Suzuki Swift is one of those rare DIY tasks where you can feel the result immediately: cleaner air, better airflow, less fogging, and a fan that doesn't sound like it's fighting for its life. And if the result isn't immediate, you now know exactly what to recheck, and what problems are simply outside the cabin filter's job description. A good habit after this is to note the date and keep an eye on how quickly the new filter loads up. If you drive in dusty areas, park under trees, or spend a lot of time in heavy traffic, it'll clog faster. If you mostly drive in clean conditions, it lasts longer. There's no magic number that fits everyone, but there is a simple rule: when airflow drops, the fan gets louder, or the filter looks visibly loaded, it's time. And the next time someone tells you it's a 5-minute job, you'll know the truth. It can be. But only if you treat the small details like they matter, because they do. That's the difference between "I changed it" and "I fixed it." Cabin air filter replacement in Suzuki Swift done right is quick, clean, and satisfying. Done wrong, it's a new rattle and a mystery you didn't need.